Hey, everybody. Happy holidays and welcome back to Silent Mode Cafe. I'm Vivek.
Hey, Vivek. How are you, man? I'm Salah. We've got your weekly breakdown of some privacy news and cybersecurity stories that matter to you without any jargon, without any fear mongering. This is literally just the news taking place. And then we try to add some practical takeaways that you can actually use.
So, as always, we're covering the biggest data breaches, watched AI tech rollouts, and some deadlines you really don't want to miss before 2025 closes out.
All right, Vivek, let me knock out the long list, and then we've got a couple that we'll dive in. And then, as always, we're taking a couple of questions at the end. So, look, our long list for privacy and security headlines this week is AFLAC has disclosed a huge cybersecurity attack, 22.6 million people. That's got to be like their entire base, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
Eurostar chatbot has security flaws that could have exposed users to some data threats reported by Tech Radar.
That's the railway thing, right? Eurostar? European
I
Railway.
think so, right?
Yeah.
They must have a chatbot, apparently, as we all do these days. SK Telecom has been forced to compensate hacking victims after a big data breach in South Korea. I think we touched on that last week. No, that was
That was Coupang.
That was Coupang, man, which is the next one. Very similar. Coupang's breach impacts was smaller than feared that we had mentioned last week. So their stocks had jumped after some clarification, according to Barron's. That's interesting. We should dive in, see what was smaller than they thought. And then LastPass, old breach, still causing some crypto theft. Stolen vaults leading to $35 million in dollars, by the way, $35 million in losses reported by the Hacker News. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, they get into LastPass, steal your password, and then get your crypto.
Man, I'm going to skip the next couple. Biometric entry exit program starts in U.S. citizens for non-citizens. So that's raising a lot of privacy questions for the U.S. collecting biometrics at entry.
For non-citizens?
For non-citizens.
I thought they did already at immigration. They take your photograph.
I'm pretty sure. Look, every country I go into outside of the U.S., they all do biometrics. I'm not sure why the issue is in the U.S. And UK fines LastPass over its 2022 breach. So all these breaches you hear about look like they might come with a bit of hammer from some of these governments. Go UK. And then password manager fine and regulatory actions continue globally. I don't even know what that's about.
That's like similar to what LastPass being forced to pay for breaches.
Look, the AFLAC one is pretty interesting, Vivek. Why don't you tell us about AFLAC?
Yeah. So apparently the big social buzz is that the AFLAC cyber attack impacted 22.6 million subscribers or insurance customers. They're talking about leaked health data and social security data, which I think is extensive because AFLAC is in the post, what do you call it? They're really good at when you take insurance because you have a medical condition and then they pay you monthly, right?
Yeah.
A lot of companies have, provide that, which is like post disability
that
insurance.
Is so true.
So what I'm really concerned about is both the health data has been leaked because they're not going to give you insurance till they have your health information. And of course, with that is the social security data. And they confirmed a big breach this past summer, and they're only telling us now towards the end of the year.
Well, why dive deeper? Why does this matter? So I probably have it through work, but why does this matter?
I think it's more sensitive when your healthcare data gets leaked. Social security you can log, but what about your healthcare information? And how can they use that in the future against you? Yeah. And that's a bit of an unknown.
Yeah.
So that's where my sensitivity stems from.
So how do people, give me a tip, like how do people figure out if something has happened with their data? Is there any way they can find out?
Sure. Check your email for the official breach notices. Okay. Freeze your credit.
100%.
If you haven't already. So we've always talked about LifeLock. and run regular identity checks with free tools, or if you've subscribed to a LifeLock, they have it. They run it for you if you have a subscription for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
So,
usual steps, right?
yeah, I guess your social would show up with LifeLock, right? Or Experian or any of the other.
Any of the others. Yeah,
Yeah.
Experian Alerts or LifeLock.
Oof,
Do you want to
that's
discuss
huge.
Eurostar and their chatbot?
Yeah, so this is definitely all over AI safety discussions on tech forums. And what happened was researchers found flaws in a major train company's AI chatbot, which is Eurostar's AI chatbot that can allow attackers to inject malicious content. Now, the good news there is that customer data wasn't accessed, but it highlights a trend that we're seeing too, where AI features that are rushed without proper safeguards. And I feel
And guardrails, yeah.
and guardrails, right? And the easier it is to create these chatbots, the more we're going to see these, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also becoming challenging, right? Remember that about a couple of weeks back, we talked about someone using Claude to be a DAS tool for a website, but was actually trying to hack the website.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But AI, look, folks, AI itself is inherently not unsafe. So AI is safe to use, but weak implementation of AI, the front end, the one that you interact with, could have some unexpected risks such as this. So when companies start utilizing AI tools, personal information behind the scene still needs protection.
That's right.
So when using AI features online, folks, always avoid sharing any sensitive information like passwords or identities or things that are specific to you personally, right? And this goes beyond just the data being shared. My dog is our featured guest this week.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it with that news. I'm imagining there'll be more to come on that.
Yeah. Talking about SK Telecom and is being ordered to compensate users after breach. We had a similar situation with AT&T a couple of months back where they were forced to compensate users after a breach. It's regional but meaningful. South Korean privacy advocates are, they're talking compensation. So a lot of them are following, in a good way, what the US is trying to do to try and push companies to compensate users for breaches. So what happened? South Korea's consumer agency is requiring SK Telecom to compensate dozens of hacking victims, a result of a major data breach that leaked millions of users' information earlier in 2025, the end of this year. So, and why does it matter? It's what we just talked about. It shows regulators are increasingly holding companies accountable.
I love that.
Right, which is great, not just through fines, but personal compensation. So what's the tip? Outside the US, please check your local consumer protection agencies. You might have similar claims or resources available. Again, this is a nice tip to have, but I think this is still an evolving situation with regulation and consumer agencies coming up to age to start fining larger companies for breaches.
Look, you can always use our chatbot that is linked, whatever medium you're using to listen or watch this episode. There should be a link to our own chatbot. You could ask the questions on what you could do, and it could help you. The next one, Vivek, is it looks like from that landmark admin breach, if you were affected in the landmark breach,
right,
involving that insurance-related personal data, the deadline to file a claim has passed or is immediately imminent. So you could look up if you have been impacted and you missed the deadline, you might lose out on some of that compensation. So if you have been impacted, hurry up and look yourself up and see what paperwork you need to fill up to ensure you get compensation for that breach. If you do think you're affected, immediately today, you can use our chatbot to find out where. I believe the Sun is the one that reported on it. So you could search the Sun landmark admin breach compensation, see if you could get any links to follow up with that.
So should we go into the deep dive of LastPass?
The old breaches that still matter, Vivek. Which old breaches still matter? Tell me.
So this week, LastPass revealed, or their revelation was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Breach consequences can linger for years. Researchers found that encrypted vault data stolen in 2022, LastPass breach has been used to steal $35 million in cryptocurrency.
I think
that's 2 years later.
Anyone who has cryptocurrency was probably impacted to an extent here.
Yeah, and they didn't change their passwords. That's the sad.
So all you have to do is change your password.
Yes.
Whatever cryptocurrency app you're using, specifically LastPass, change your passwords. I would make it rotate your old passwords, right? Enable multi-factor. So that way, even if someone has your password, you're still going to get some sort of a push notification, whether it's email, your phone, or you're actually using a one password type of an app.
Yeah, we've always talked very highly about multi-factor authentication. And in this case, I completely agree with you. Using hardware keys is another thing, especially for crypto-related accounts.
Yeah, for financial accounts, Go was whatever your financial institution can support. Hardware crypto keys, they're a bit cumbersome, but they're incredibly important, right?
It also depends what kind of relationship you have with a financial institution. So if you are really a valued customer with a lot of money in their accounts, they usually
Yeah,
ship you a hardware key.
I see. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I know a few of them that do offer that.
All right, Q&A?
Well, that was good. Yeah, let's jump into Q&A.
Okay, so this week, we got this question this week, which is, should I worry about biometric ID collection at airports? Salah, you and I have been a victim of that. What do you say?
What do you think, Sasha? Should we worry about that?
She's like,
Look, the new US entry and exit program collects biometric data from citizens. I personally don't see that as a big issue. It's meant to speed and secure travel. I guess it still involves sensitive personal information, right?
right.
Avoid oversharing unrelated personal data on your travel apps and ask what protection your carrier uses. But my personal opinion on this is your personal biometric data, such as images, is already out there. And you can't walk into an airport without all your personal data being collected from a biometric
I think the bigger concern was
right?
they're also doing it with non-citizens. And I thought they were already doing it for everyone, citizens or non-citizens. I guess they just made it public for non-citizens.
Yeah. Look, I think the question to ask, and this is all published on every country's airport data about security and privacy, it's all published. It's all public. Are you really going to avoid going to Spain, as an example, if you find out that they're collecting your bio data? I don't know.
I think
this is a gray area, because how much do you want them to collect to ensure your security? Is collecting bio data? I mean, how long have countries been collecting your thumbprints when you enter a new country and say, please put your thumbprint here? Or right now it's all digital. I clearly recall multiple times actually doing the ink thumbprint entering a new country. I never thought much of it, but if this does concern you, maybe you just avoid some of that travel, quite frankly, because I don't believe that's going to change anytime soon.
But then your traffic stop locally is capturing your face. Because if you're caught speeding, you get a ticket in the mail.
Well, I think the hottest, not the hottest, probably one of the most viral videos across all social media is, why are you recording me in public? Or why are you taking pictures of me? And folks, your data, you are being captured almost the second you walk out of your house, depending what city you live in, what your neighborhood is. Public cameras are constantly recording you. And that is why every government says there is no privacy in the public. You have to expect to be recorded in some format. Pictures, voice, video, it's all happening.
Yeah. If it's not your neighbor's house capturing you by the time you hit a cross street, it's the
100%.
city's camera catching.
And all your devices, as you walk past any Wi-Fi device, they're chattering. It's attempting to connect, right? You're leaving a digital footprint everywhere you go, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So speaking of digital footprint, Vivek, and trying to reduce my digital footprint, the next question is,
if you want extra privacy, and especially if you work out of a Starbucks or a public Wi-Fi or at the airport, please use it.
I absolutely. Yeah. I think you actually wrote a blog on this that we have on our website.
Yeah, please use VPNs.
That also recommends different types. And again, if you want to know which apps you should use in terms of VPNs, password managers, etc., check out the link, the Shortly link for silent mode privacy, and ask it those questions. It'll walk you through exactly what you should or should not be using. All right, let's do a quick practical action checklist for us, Vivek.
Okay, I go one item, you go the other item. How about that?
All right, let's do it that way. Go for it.
So first one, check if you're affected by the AFLAC breach. Please take identity protection steps like we suggested. Lock your SSN if you're using LifeLock or Experian. There are a bunch of tools out there, but please do check if you're affected by AFLAC's breach.
And as always, patch and update all your software. This is specific to the AI and chat interfaces, can be weak spots, right? So update to make sure that you have the latest patch, that if there is a vulnerability associated, that you get the latest patch to get rid of it.
Always. And then file any breach settlement claims before the deadlines expire. You really don't want some of that settlement money going back to lawyers. So please, if you are part of a settlement, please file the claims before it times out.
You know, the other angle on that is if you're sick of hearing about your data being stolen and leaked constantly, make sure that you file for these claims, because the more that people, consumers like us, are getting involved and filing for these claims, the more it's going to send a message back to organizations that, hey, people are watching us. They're not just brushing this under the carpet. So it's very important. Look, also rotate all your passwords. Rotating passwords isn't too difficult. I know many of us have hundreds of accounts, so we have hundreds of passwords sometimes. Just use a password manager and use that to enable multi-factor authentication. And you have, by doing so, you have probably alleviated 80 to 90% of all hacks against you by just having strong password.
With multi-factor.
I don't want to say with multi-factor, right?
Yes. Then last but not the least, stay informed. Old breaches can resurface years later.
Yeah. What's a good way to do that? Maybe listen to a great podcast that constantly...
There's a great podcast called Silent
There's a
Mode
great
Cafe.
podcast, one of the only podcasts of a couple of geeks sitting there talking about breaches, what you could do, how they impact you.
Yeah.
And with that, folks, tune in next time. We'll be here with another update. We're going to miss Vivek. He is going on vacation for a couple of weeks, I believe. So on the next update, maybe we'll throw that in as well. But thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.